All right, we are live here.
We are indeed. How's everyone doing out there? And I just went live here with the TikTok folks as well. So we've got the Facebook crowd. We've got our TikTok folks. I'm trying to balance that there. Okay. All right. So how's everyone doing? My name is John Gardner, and this is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza, founded in 2000 in our 25th year. We're celebrating 25 years
Fabuloso.
of doing immigration work, and we have enjoyed every bit of it. And we come to you once a week.
Not every bit of it.
Well, being the lawyer
Well,
part we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Good
Sorry,
point.
I'm not even sure why I
Um,
messed up the opening monologue. Sorry
no,
about
that's
that.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we come to you once a week, and we bring you immigration updates. We give you information that we think is important in the moment, and obviously, right now, that is with all the stuff going on with the new administration. And of course, we answer your questions. If you have questions about what we're talking about,
Put them in.
put them in the TikTok, put them in the Facebook. If you have questions about anything, it doesn't have to be about the specific immigration issues that we're talking about. You might just have your own personal random immigration question that you want to run by us, and you're welcome to do that. I do want to caution everybody that what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not legal advice, okay?
Well, you forgot about entertainment.
Yeah, informational, entertainment. My mom is here. Hello, Mama. How are you?
Hello. Good
We're
evening.
off to a rocky start today.
I don't think so. I think we're off to a great start. So yes, start loading up your questions, and we're going to give you a couple of updates. So a bunch of people joining us on TikTok. Hello, PM Dep.
Yeah.
Mashbro03.
Yeah.
Hello, Beatrice. How are you? Great to see you. It's been a long time. Hope you're doing well. And it's good to see all of you guys. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first thing that I want to start off with is just there's a lot of talk about the mass deportations. If you're on social media, you've seen them happen. If you're on TikTok, you've seen live action of people actually, getting arrested on the side of the road, and just a lot of unsavory, uncomfortable things to be watching and coming at you. So one thing that John and I mentioned last week was if you are being questioned and what to do if you're being questioned. And there's, you've probably seen, know your rights, right? You need to know your rights in order to protect yourself. And some people have said on social media, okay, know your rights sounds like trying to evade ICE to me. But for us, it's really trying to protect yourself, all the rights that are provided to you under the U.S. Constitution. So why don't we talk about a couple of things?
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to just kind of clear up, because I think there's a misconception sometimes. People think that the U.S. Constitution confers rights to the people, like I have a right to this, I have a right to that. But really, the way the Constitution is structured is in the reverse. It sets forth the things that the government can't do. And we always say that, I have a right to do this or a right to do that. What we really mean is that the government does not have a right, for example, to come search my house without a warrant. So that'd be one perfect example.
Great distinction. Great point.
If you are in, and it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not, the police can't come into your home, or ICE can't come into your home and search without a warrant, whether you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, or you're here on a student visa, or whether you're just totally undocumented, because that's not really the issue. You don't have to be a citizen to derive these rights, because they're all talking about what the government can't do to people that are here. So if you're in your home, you do not have to talk to the police. Most of us know this in the context of, say, a local police officer comes knocking on your door, says, hey, we think there could be some drug dealing going on here. we'd like to come in and just take a look around your house real quick, just for a few minutes, just to make sure everything's good. I think most of us know that we don't have to say yes, right? We can say, no, thanks. You're not coming in. The answer is no. Shut the door. Have a good day.
Or maybe not even open the door.
Or maybe not even open the door.
Don't even open the door, right?
Step out into the front stoop, or just have the chain and, looking through or whatever, just talking through the door could even work.
Chain is really dating you.
Yeah.
Who still has a chain on their door? Maybe some people still do. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You see, okay, you're right. Let me get into 2025. You see them on your phone because of the ringtone thing that you have, the Ring camera, and so you know who it is, and you just go through and you just tell them that no, I'm not. If you don't have a warrant, then you can't come into my house. All right. Well, that would apply to any law enforcement, and ICE is essentially law enforcement. It's the law enforcement part of immigration. There's USCIS, that grants benefits. There's ICE. There are others, but ICE is basically like the cops for immigration. And so conceptually, you might want to think about them as just being like police, immigration police. All right. So all the things that you would do in terms of your behavior around regular police officers should extend to how you would act around ICE agents. And this is not about, like Radlin said, this is not about like, oh, come here once a week and we're going to give you tips on how to evade the authorities and, not get caught and commit crimes without getting caught. That's not what this is about. I mean, we tell our own children, if they get pulled over, that keep it to the bare minimum, license, registration, your name, and beyond that, you don't have to answer any questions, and you should not answer any questions. None of us should ever be voluntarily answering any questions from any law enforcement, whether it's a local sheriff, an FBI agent, or an ICE agent. And that's not me being anti-police. That's just me being a lawyer and knowing what's in your best interest. Okay.
That is true.
Hard stop.
So John, you've been criminal defense attorney since, for 25 years now. Have some cases gone bad because the police officer has said, hey, we just want to ask you a couple of questions?
Oh, many have gone bad.
Are they, and we're just trying to help you. What do you think about?
Hey, look, there's no point in there's no point in you trying to get a lawyer and remain silent here. Cause your buddy, he already told me everything. Lie. I don't know if you guys know that police can absolutely use a ruse. They can lie to you in order to get you to confess something. They can tell you that your buddy in the next room already said that you're the guy who had the gun, and it's an absolute lie. Maybe they haven't even talked to the guy in the next room yet. And the U.S. Supreme Court has said, well, that's fine. They can say anything they want to you. They can ask you anything they want. They can use any trick, any technique that they want, other than, physical force, of course, to get you to say what they're looking for, because you have a right to assert your desire for an attorney. So you don't ever have to answer any questions. You always have a right to say, I'm not answering any questions. I want a lawyer. Okay. So just please keep that in mind. If you're in a car, you're driving, there is a less of an expectation of privacy once you're out on the road. There was a whole series of cases when Rehnquist was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. All the Rehnquist cases that dealt with decreased expectation of privacy in a car, because you've now put yourself out on a public road that is regulated. And so you're subject to that, and you have to give your name, basic identifying information. But where we see problems is things like passengers. They're shining their light in there, just kind of looking around. They see people in the back seat. They see somebody they think, in their mind looks out of place, and they might start asking questions. You don't have to answer those questions. You're a passenger in a car. You have absolutely no reason to be answering any questions. Okay. Well, there, I did it. Okay.
So that all said, we do realize how difficult it is to say no to a police officer. So maybe you should go into the mirror tonight and just practice
Practice.
saying no and saying, I don't want to talk to you, and going through that. And it's not just people who are undocumented. It's anyone who is being questioned by the authorities. So I know people say, oh, well, I don't have anything to hide. You sure about that? You sure someone didn't leave something in your car accidentally? Are you sure you don't have anything to hide? There's just no reason to get into it. Anyway, appreciate that. As I mentioned, John did criminal defense for 20 plus years. And all right, we went dark there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's about questions. It's, I don't want to get pop the trunk real quick and we can take a look in there. Yeah, I do mind. Unless you have a reason that you need to be looking in my trunk, the answer is no. I'm not going to pop the trunk for you to take a look.
Right. And they can't just do that. I mean, there's no warrant. Right. And so the answer is no every time.
Okay. I think everybody, you know how
well, yes. Jennifer Mata says we are so conditioned to cooperate with law enforcement. Silence is best. That's absolutely true. We are conditioned to cooperate with law enforcement. We're conditioned to cooperate, period. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is how we were raised. John and I met with a group of people in the Haitian community yesterday, and we talked about that. We talked about how, our parents taught us to be cooperative. And but silence is best. You don't have to be disrespectful.
Don't have to be disrespectful. In fact, don't be disrespectful.
Don't be disrespectful.
That'll just cause different problems.
Escalation.
Right. So you want to be polite, you want to be respectful, recognizing that, just like you don't when a credit card gets declined, you have to tell the customer that, I'm sorry, your card didn't go through. That doesn't mean the meal is free. It means that you have to use a different card, and you're just doing your job. It's not that you hate the person whose card got declined. You just are doing your job. And so are they. They're doing their job. And so that's fine. And you can respect that and be polite, but you don't have to cooperate with the line of questioning that they're coming at you with. You just simply do not have to cooperate in that way. Okay?
Yeah. And we appreciate you all listening to this. This may not apply to you, but it may apply to people that, I mean, it applies to all of us. Sorry. Let me back up a little bit. But it's especially important now because with immigration raids, they're questioning everyone who is in the path. So what it may look like is, ICE is looking for a particular person, but they're also going to be asking questions about the roommate, the person who's standing at the front door, and anyone who's in the home. They're going to be asking about their immigration status. So this is important for you all. It's important for your families. And it's also important, of course, in the context of what's going on with, excuse me, the mass deportations. All right, so we've got some questions here. And Edison, hello. Thank you for joining. Anna, thank you so much. We're happy that
oh, hey Edison, how you doing?
That you're here. And it's great to see everybody here.
Right.
Thanks for the love, TikTok. Now, you guys, I don't know if Facebook can give any love, but we get tons and tons of love from TikTok.
Yeah, and one of the questions that we, before we get into some of these other questions, a question that came up recently, and I wanted to mention to everybody is that, there was another hearing on DACA, and I'm not going to go into the whole storied history here of DACA, how it's gone back and forth, but suffice to say that it's exactly where it was, and it's basically the Fifth Circuit affirmed most of it, sent it back with a few modifications to the judge who originally ruled that it was unconstitutional, or unlawful as well. Same thing. But in any event, nothing has changed with DACA for now. They are still, if you have DACA, you can still be renewing, and they're still taking applications, but they are not processing new applications. So
yep,
that's basically it's just where it has been for a while now. Okay.
Yes. And
I just did it again.
Ray, our youngest, teases John that he ends every sentence with "okay."
Yeah, she's
So
giving me a
it's
hard
really
time.
bearing out now.
Okay, I'm
on
trying to
this
break.
live.
I'm going to break this habit.
Okay. So speaking of DACA and people who are in a process, who have your work authorization, who have filed an I-130 petition or an I-485, filed your I-751, carry your documents with you guys. Okay. So that is one tip that we are telling our clients, is to carry the documents with you. You can also take a photograph of it on your phone, as well as the supporting documents, right? So if your spouse, who is a US citizen, filed an I-130 petition for you, go ahead and take a picture of your marriage certificate and your spouse's proof of US citizenship. And make sure you have the I-485 receipt and all the receipts that you have to show that you are in the process in the event that you get caught up and everything. Last week we were talking about, making sure that if you're driving, you have your driver's license on you, and making sure that your car is street legal. So we've heard it many times that here in Virginia, you can get pulled over if you have some things hanging from your rear view mirror, like your air freshener or your rosary or whatever it is that you have hanging in your rear view. You can get pulled over for that. And someone I spoke with today was just talking about getting pulled over because he had some stuff hanging in his rear view mirror. So you need to avoid all that. There's just no reason for you to have the things up there if it's unlawful in your state to have that, and just don't draw attention to it, and carry your documents. Today, I couldn't find my driver's license, and normally I really don't care. I don't. I run out of the house without my purse, without my wallet. There was some exchange of IDs. I sometimes I give John my ID because I hate carrying my purse, and I just it's missing for the moment. I'm sure I'll find it this evening, but I thought twice about driving today because I didn't have my driver's license. And I just I don't want to take that chance anymore, right? Like if someone pulls me over, I want to make sure I have my driver's license. And you should as well, just in case. Jenny says, do copies suffice? Copies of documents? Yes, I would say the copies are fine. You shouldn't.
Especially with color copies these days, they look great.
Yep. And just carry those documents with you. And if worse comes to worse, you can show Immigration and Customs Enforcement that you are going through the process. And we have heard that from other colleagues that they have questioned their clients and they see they're going through the process and have let them go. So
yeah, that can certainly be beneficial. And if the situation expands, which I fully anticipate that it will, we will eventually reach a point where local law enforcement will sort of be tasked with cooperating with ICE, kind of helping them out in terms of just, hey, when you're involved in these routine stops, when something looks wrong, make sure that you get in touch with us if somebody has no identification at all. That's why it's important to have something. And I've worked with, doing defense work. I worked with a lot of police officers and state troopers, and they would always tell me, look, I just need something. If a guy's got an ID with a local address on it, that's fine. I need something. If they've got absolutely nothing, that's when I got to start making calls, and then that's when bad things,
right,
it escalates. So make sure you have an ID on you, preferably with a local address. That's really what you want. And as Radlin said, make sure you have your immigration documents, because same thing. If it's ICE, obviously they know what they're looking at, and I still think it's helpful even with them. But especially if it becomes an issue with local law enforcement, they don't know what they're looking at. They look at something that looks very official. It's from the government. It says that it's a receipt and it's a process that's happening. It's got your name on it. That's enough. They're going to be fine with that, at least for now.
All right.
For now, because I don't know where this is all headed. But
let us
first question.
Yeah. Is that the first question?
That's the first question.
All right. Okay.
So Brian says,
Brian.
applying for a 10-year green card after a 2-year green card. I live with my husband, but he files his taxes in a different state. Help.
Okay. So when you're applying to remove the conditions on your permanent residence, so this person has a 2-year card, which means when she applied for permanent residency and when it got approved, she and her spouse were, well, I'm assuming it was a she, but I shouldn't. They were married less than 2 years when that green card was approved. Okay, this applicant. So now this applicant is applying for a 10-year green card. And the question is, husband files in a different state, the taxes in a different state. Well, what is the reason for that, right? So anything that you are submitting, so if you're submitting the tax return to show that you're in a bona fide marriage and a bona fide relationship, you don't have to submit your tax return, by the way. But why is it in a different state? Is it something that can be explained? So there could be a variety of reasons why your spouse is filing in a different state. Maybe your spouse is in the military. Maybe there's a tax advantage to filing it in that state, and they're head of household. I mean, I'm no tax expert, but we have seen the different variations of what our clients do with tax returns for whatever reason, right? So it's not the end of the world that your spouse files in a different state, but you do need to explain why that is if you choose to use the jointly filed tax return as part of your I-751 package. So we often submit jointly filed tax return, right? Because it shows that, oh yeah, they're commingling their finances, they're filing taxes together, they're living together. But if we did that, and if it was different address, then we would definitely have to explain it. And if there was an odd explanation, we may leave it all out. We may leave it out altogether. It just depends on what other documentation you have to show that you are in a bona fide marriage and relationship. So it's not a deal breaker. It's not a case breaker by any means. You're fine. Just make sure you provide a lot of other different documentation if you choose not to submit your tax return together. Hopefully that answers your question, Brian. All right.
Okay, and that's a perfect example of a question that had absolutely nothing to do with the topic of the night, which is
we're in Q&A session now.
That's what I'm saying.
We are in Q&A session.
It doesn't have to be about ICE knocking on your front door. It doesn't have to be about DACA. It doesn't have to be about, in the DACA case, by the way, January 17th was when that case was heard by the Court of Appeals. The other update that we wanted to mention was the TPS, Venezuelan TPS,
yes.
Has been ended for TPS. That was the 2023 TPS, and it's
for Venezuelans.
And it's it'll go into effect 60 days after the publication, which we think will be tomorrow. Correct? Is that
yes.
what you said?
Is tomorrow the 5th?
Tomorrow's the
4th.
So I think it's going to be published on the 5th. So 60 days from that. All right.
Right. So
if you are in that category or you know somebody, you may want to
consult with an immigration attorney to see what options are available to you. Always consult with an immigration attorney. So immigration attorneys will be able to take a look at your case, analyze, see the facts, see what can happen in your case, and there may be something. Okay, there may be something, and there's just no reason not to consult with an immigration attorney. It does not have to be us. We are immigration attorneys. We would love it if it were us, but if it's not us, make it someone else. Don't not go to an immigration attorney to have your case evaluated. It's so important.
I should mention that immigration law is federal, so we can represent you no matter what state you're in or what country, as long as it's U.S. immigration law that's the issue. We can help you out. We have clients all over the country, and we have clients all over the world. All right.
All right. So let's grab a question from This is also another, wait, no, this is a, so Armando says, hello guys, I have an I-751 and N400. Any updates about what is happening with this forms and processing times? So Armando and everyone else listening who have a case pending, you can look at what current processing times are by Googling USCIS case processing times. And the uscis.gov site is going to be the first thing that typically pops up. So, well, it's going to be the first thing that pops up. So don't go to another site that's like uscis.com or, you know, it's going to be uscis.gov, but
Then be
Google,
careful. .org.com. No.
right, .eu. So just USCIS case processing time, it'll come up and you'll be able to put the information in there that's needed, right? So the actual form and the place where you filed it, click on current processing times and it will produce the processing times currently. So that's where you'll be able to find the case processing times. Now, Armando, with a 751 and N400, it sounds like maybe you had an I-751 pending, you're actually eligible to apply for naturalization, so you went ahead and filed your N400. Sometimes those move a little bit faster than what's posted on the case processing time. So it's we do encourage people who have a pending I-751 who are eligible for the N400 to apply for citizenship to go ahead and apply even though your I-751 has not been approved. Oftentimes it will push that case forward. The I-751, we all know that I-751 cases are taking forever. Once you file an I-751, they give you a receipt that says, 48 months, good for 48 months. So it's a 48-month processing time. So go ahead and file that N400 when you're eligible to file it time-wise, and if you're otherwise eligible for citizenship, and that's going to speed up the case. So what typically happens is you'll have the N400 interview scheduled, and then they will adjudicate that I-751 at the N400 or approve the I-751 just a couple of days before your N400 interview. So good luck, Armando. Hopefully that answers your question and you'll be able to take a look at the most current processing times. But again, it may be different for you if you filed the 751 and then filed the N400 before the I-751 was approved. All right.
Nice.
Nice. What do we have here? Is that the next question?
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead to the other questions. We like to take things.
No. The questions we take in the order that they.
John's in charge of the question order.
We model immigration in this regard.
That's right.
Because immigration also processes cases in the order that they are received.
Generally speaking.
And that's why you should not waste any more time and you should get your case filed with our help.
Let us be clear, guys. Let us be clear that, yes, there's a whole crazy storm going out there with immigration. That is absolutely true. There are mass deportation. There are protests right now. I mean, it's getting spicy, right? And but we can still file for you if you have a case, right? So don't think that all this stuff is happening. Let me just not file my green card case. You have a green card case, or you think you might. Let me just lay low and not file. That is possibly the worst decision that you could make for your immigration case. So just don't do that. Okay. If you have an immigration case, or you think you have an immigration case and you think you have a remedy, or you don't even think you have a remedy, whatever, come talk to us and we will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, if lay low is your strategy, then you're going to have to lay low for at least 4 years. So
lay low is not a good strategy.
That's not a good strategy. That's waste. That's time. The clock is always ticking, and you want to get in the queue. That's for my British friends out there.
Yes.
You want to get in the queue as soon as possible. All right.
Absolutely. So if you know that, okay, let's just say you're here in the United States, right? you're a lawful permanent resident, and let's say you just got here, and you're just thinking, gosh, my wife is back home in the Philippines, and well, sorry, let me back up a little bit. You just immigrated to the United States, you have a permanent resident, you have a job, and then you're here for 6 months, and you go back to the Philippines, you get married, and now your wife is there. You come back to the United States, and so you two are separated, right? So now you're just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I should file that I-130 petition for my wife because Trump is the president right now and he's probably going to deny it for whatever reason. Please don't think that way. No, don't think that way. And I'm terrified that people are thinking that way. I know people are thinking that way. I've heard people tell me with clean cases, I don't want to do it right now because, Trump is going to deny my cases. He's not actually out here denying cases, but I understand that sentiment. So you should absolutely, in this scenario, in any scenario where you can petition for someone back home, you should definitely file that I-130 petition. I mean, I-130 petitions for spouses of permanent residents taking like 4 years. So you've got to get it lodged. You've got to get it filed. So first in, first out, right? So when you file, when you get in the line, that is your priority date. Everybody knows what a priority date is. That's your priority date.
Everybody on this Zoom call does.
Yeah.
I don't
if you don't know what a
in the
priority
general
is,
public, not so much.
if you don't know what a priority date is, please text us and we'll let you know and where to find it. But the priority date is simply the date that USCIS received your petition. Okay. And it's the date that you got in line, and it's the date from which all the dates and processings flow from that date, right? When someone says, oh, how long it's going to take? The first question is, what is your priority date? Then we look at the processing times. And so please file if you can. File your citizenship case, file the I-130 petitions for your family, file your one-step marriage-based adjustment cases. You want to file for your parents and they happen to be here, file for your parents if that works for the family. Just, yes. You can still file. You should still file before backlogs get worse and your case just keeps getting pushed back and back and back. It's not even in the line, right? It's a theoretical line.
Yeah. The line goes around the block to see the Sistine Chapel. You get a placeholder in that line. You mark your placeholder in that line.
Yes.
And then you just go enjoy Rome for the rest of the day. And when you come back, your placeholder is at the front, ready to go in.
Right. We're the placeholder. We're not actually the placeholders. we will get you the place in line.
Okay. Land. All right. And we'll monitor it while it's there. Land says, what are the chances of getting my green card back with a felony more than 20 years ago?
Depends on the felony. Depends on if you have qualifying family members who can help you get the green card back. So there's a lot there that we would need to know about that. Then.
Yeah. What exactly happened with your green card? What's the felony? What's going on?
Where are you? Do you have qualifying family members who could petition for you? So those are a lot of questions and that we would have to know in order to further assist you. And as John mentioned, this is not legal advice. This is a perfect example. What if I said, yes, you can, without knowing any of the facts, right? That would be not very responsible of me.
No, it would not. Right. And that's why we have to, that's why we can't get, there's many reasons we can't give legal advice, but one is that we can't get enough information from these small snippets of questions to really thoroughly analyze the situation. We don't want to give you the wrong advice. Okay. You want to pop back over here?
I don't know the answer to this question, but I'll read it. How long does it take for an immigrant visa interview scheduled nowadays? U.S. Embassy in Manila. We've been waiting on my brother's interview for 5 months now. Any advice that would be help a lot? Hiring a lawyer to help us expedite his interview. So, Greg, the reason I can't answer this question is because we don't know. It's a guess, right? It's a guess about when. And you're a sibling. The person here is your sibling. So the spouses of U.S. citizens, the immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, spouses, parents, children under the age of 21, they're going to take priority over siblings. That's just my guess, right? I don't know if but that's what it seems like, where a spouse is getting an interview faster than our say sibling of a U.S. citizen, even though the visa is available, right? But there is no visa wait for spouse immediate relatives, U.S. citizens. So 5 months. I mean, you could actually be looking at a year or more to wait for an interview for your brother in Manila. It's extremely backlogged. It's one of the posts that's very, very backlogged. It's up there with Ciudad Juarez. It's up there with Sao Paulo. It's very long wait. And is there anything that hiring a lawyer could do? So it's pretty tough in this situation. You know, we could make congressional inquiries. You could also make the congressional inquiry. I mean, the nuclear option is to file a lawsuit against the government. And before we
scary but highly effective.
Yeah, but before we do that, before we even file a lawsuit with the federal government against the federal government, State Department, we have to do a lot of preliminary things first, right? We have to show that we've inquired. Usually we do this like 3 or 4 times over a period of 120 to 180 days. We have to show that we've made congressional inquiry and we haven't been answered. So there are things that we'd have to do in order before we would file a lawsuit. So I recommend that you do those things now. Reach out to your congressperson and let him know that, hey, my brother's been waiting 5 months for an interview. Whatever other information that you have that you can give. And so you go to your local congressperson. You can do your congressperson or your senator and make that inquiry about whether they can help you with your brother's case and getting a faster interview. That would be my recommendation if you haven't done it yet. Bad news is like 9 times out of 10 is not going to do anything. That's the bad news. They're going to just tell you about the backlogs, but at least you have done it. So if you decide in the future to file a lawsuit, then you can. And those things have already been done.
You're going to love this next question on
Am
TikTok.
I?
Yes, this is a question that's going to make you very happy. Question: my fiance has a J1 visa and her contract will end next year in June. Is it okay to get married this year?
I do love that question, but you know, it depends. Did I say that the last time? I mean, yes, congratulations. That's very exciting that you guys are planning on getting married. Congratulations on your engagement. J1
tacked on here this year and file for a waiver next year.
Okay, and file for the waiver next year. Yes. So there's a lot package here, and J1 waivers are extremely. There's just more to it, right? They're more complicated. They're more nuanced. Whether you should get married now, is that J1? Did you renew the J1? Is there something in the contract that says that if you change your civil status, we're going to cancel your contract and you're not going to be able to work here anymore? So these are all considerations to take. We do have a resident, where I don't think we're allowed to say expert per bar rules. We do have a resident specialist at our office, our attorney, Dominique Sampson. He handles all of our J1 waiver cases where the person is subject to your residency requirement. And we were just on a consultation together with these exact same facts. And there was just a lot to consider. So I welcome you to give us a call and make an appointment with Attorney Sampson. He's great. He's very patient in explaining things. I think he explains things way better than I do because I heard him because I was on the consultation.
Yeah, this is right in his wheelhouse. This is in his lane, 100%.
Right. And so our office number, if you want to give us a call, is 757-464-9224. You can also shoot us a text there and just say, hey, saw Radlin and John on Facebook, told me to schedule an appointment with Dom. And we charge $200 for a consultation. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. You can also reach out info@gmlaw.net.
Yes, info@gmlaw.net or the text 757-464-9224. But great question.
Mhm.
Very nuanced, very fact specific,
Yep.
but a great question.
I knew you'd love it.
I know. you know me so well. All right. Answer Greg.
For those of you who maybe are just joining us, let me reintroduce myself. I'm John Gardner, and this is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, in case
My
you're
foot is falling
thinking we're
asleep.
a little close here. And we're the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. So you can reach out to us with your questions. We do this once a week. We got another one over there. We got a whole bunch here.
Whole bunch of questions. All right, let me grab this here. All right. So Miss Beatrice, she says, I came into this country illegally many years ago, but I already have become a US citizen in 2017. Can I have any issues from this? Answer is no. So Ms. Hayes is now a naturalized US citizen. She has gone through the process and she came in, according to this, without inspection, has gone through the process of getting permanent residency here in the United States, waiting the requisite amount of time to become a US citizen in 2017. And now she's concerned, right? She's worried. She carries a blue passport. She is a US citizen, United States citizen, and she's here on our immigration Q&A concerned. And trust
we
me,
hear this a lot. By the way, Beatrice, you're not alone.
yeah,
We absolutely hear this all the time from citizens,
right.
naturalized citizens.
You're not the only U.S. citizen who we have helped and who carries a blue passport who's concerned about this. And the answer is no. You should not have any issues from this. Just ignore all the things on social media, right? Ignore if you see a clip of Donald Trump saying I'm deporting citizens, just ignore all that. That does not apply to you, and in no way, shape, or form is this going to happen. It's a denaturalizing process, right? This where the government would have to denaturalize you and take that away. And I think I heard someone saying that it's only been done a handful of times in many years. So, and if you're getting denaturalized, then something very bad happened.
Yeah.
You're a terrorist or
or there's some sort of complete fraud in the entire situation.
Well, even that, it's extremely hard to prove.
Yeah, but no question about it. And I understand, you just put it up there. I entered this country illegally many years ago. For the rest of you out there who are not citizens, perhaps like Beatrice, I wouldn't reduce that to a writing places. I wouldn't type that places and email it. Just a tip.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And that's a term of art, illegally is thrown around.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. So I would.
What does that even mean?
Okay.
All right. But great question, Beatrice. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Rest easy tonight. And get some rest tonight. Yes. Don't worry anymore. Okay.
And call us if you want to talk. But we've had this question.
Oh yeah. Many times.
Our old friend from long ago, he used to work with my dad. He asked me, I was like, you're good. Don't. He's like, are they going to deport us Filipinos now? I'm like, you're fine. You're good. But it's a concern. I mean, because there's a lot going on right now. Just that things that make people nervous and scared. All right. Okay, we have one here from Nini that probably requires some more information. How long for an I-130 to get approved for a spouse who's out of the United States? Just look this up. You file an I-130 petition for your spouse, and if you are a U.S. citizen, that I-130 petition approval is going to take about 16.5 months.
16.5 months.
So if you are a U.S. citizen, if you are a permanent resident, it's probably going to be like around 4 years. I haven't looked that one up recently, but the last time I did, maybe about 3 weeks ago, it was about that 48 months. All right. So Kelvin, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Kelvin says, I have an immigration process with your law firm. We are waiting on 601A approval, which is a provisional waiver. In case I get stopped by ICE or they come to my house for any reason, what steps should I take? Call my lawyer? Yes, you should call us. Or what should I carry with me at all times? We were just talking about this. Really wonderful question. Kelvin, thanks for coming on here and asking that question. So, number one, you should, if you don't already, you should get a driver privilege card from Virginia driver privilege card if you can. And if you are stopped, like ICE stops you at your house, you remember what we talked about, right? You don't have to open the door if ICE comes to your house. Don't be a nice guy and open the door because you have a process that is pending right now. As far as things to carry on you, just in case, say you're walking down the street and there's nowhere to go, right? And they ask you questions and you have the documentation. So you should carry the I-130 petition approval, right? And your marriage certificate and proof of your spouse's status here in the United States. So US citizenship or lawful permanent resident, I believe US citizenship. And also your I-601 approval. So this is all documentation to show that you're going through a lawful process, that you already have the I-138 petition approved. You already have the 601A approved. You're waiting for an interview, right? So is it your fault? Is it our fault that their interviews are taking so long? No, but the law allows you to be here while you're waiting for that interview. Unfortunately, what you've been hearing over the past couple of weeks is that you and people who are in this situation are criminals. But you have the documentation to show that you are in the process. You are not a criminal, of course. Immigration is civil and immigration violations are civil. So those are the things, Kelvin, that we would recommend and anyone else in your situation to carry with you. Hopefully that helps. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to give us a call at the office and we can expand on that.
Yeah, and we have some wonderful resources that we've put together. If you reach out to our office, we have some Know Your Rights literature that we can send you. Okay, it's really good to have, and it's good for anyone. And just a reminder that again, this is not specific to somebody who is in an immigration process. We say this to our own adult children and our teenager, for that matter, but especially adult children. One of the easiest ways to stay out of trouble in any situation is to not be in a place where you're drawing a lot of attention to yourself. So, in my experience, my clients who've ended up having problems with immigration, it all started with, being drunk in public or running a red light or, speeding, that kind of stuff. So anytime you do something that puts you interfacing with law enforcement, then you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation unnecessarily, and you can avoid it most of the time. So just be careful.
Yep. Right? He has never had any issues with the law. He's not going to start now. Yeah. Right, Kelvin?
Well, I wasn't speaking to Kelvin.
No. I know.
I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
No.
I'm just talking generally. That's a real easy way to, I don't want to say lay low, just be careful.
And again, be respectful, even if tensions are running high and maybe you're being disrespected, right? Maybe law enforcement's being disrespectful to you. Always be respectful. John and I, we learned a good lesson. Well, it was taught to us by a mentor. And she says, well, when a bull starts running at you, what are you going to do? You're going to pass, right? You're going to let the bull pass. So just always let the bull pass, no matter whether it's law enforcement or somebody who is
picking a fight with you at a bar.
Or very common road rage. So somebody cuts you off, or let's say somebody thinks that you cut them off. I mean, we've all seen it. These people are crazy. Do not engage. let the bull pass, right? Let the bull pass. Let them pass right on by you and just be calm. It's so hard to do sometimes, depending on the situation. We know John and I were getting a little rowdy at a basketball game.
And it's, I mean, I'm not saying, I mean,
Right.
it's easy. I know that a lot of people say, you know, well, that, yeah, of course, don't commit crimes. I mean, I'm not a criminal, and people that commit crimes should be in jail anyway. I've heard this a million times, but I'm talking not just about crimes. I'm talking about little stuff. I'm talking about, you know, an inspired inspection sticker on your car. That's a grounds for a stop. And now you're potentially in a dangerous situation where you're going to have to do the things we talked about and, you know, refuse to answer any questions other than your name and date of birth. You know, just be careful. Okay.
Right. And Calvin, I think you do have your Virginia driver push card. If you do get pulled over, you can show the Virginia Beach or the, Norfolk police your driver's license. That really should be the end of a state police stop inquiry. We're in Virginia Beach, Virginia, right? We're not in a border town. So we're not getting asked the question, what's your immigration status typically? Now, we've had that happen before.
Yeah, the reason Radlin and I are so paranoid about this is because we've actually been here before. In the few years after 9/11, there was just very, very, very tight immigration. Everyone was on edge, and we saw a lot of this. We saw a lot of questions that went well beyond, and at the time, everybody was just being sort of hyper vigilant, and law enforcement was really trying to be hyper vigilant about everything. Everybody was, nervous. And we've been down this road. We've seen how this goes. And so just be careful out there. All right.
Yep. Great advice. And same, Alfonsina, it says we have work permits, we have our Social Security, we pay taxes, we shouldn't worry, right? Same thing here. Like, yes, theoretically, you should be able to, we're in the process, right? You're carrying this information on you. We are in the process. And theoretically, everything should be fine. It makes sense to everyone here that, Alfonsina, you have your work permit, you have your Social Security, you've got all the things that you need. If you were questioned, you could produce the documentation.
Yep.
And you're in the process.
And you're doing everything the right way, the way that's supposed to be done. So,
yep.
Okay, Ron Bergen here wants to know, will my wife be deported if DHS denies her I-751? Apparently, we failed the interview.
Okay. So, you guys, so you should call us, number 1, 757-464-9224. So what I'm hearing is you both went to an interview. It did not go well. And USCIS denied the I-751, which is a petition to remove conditions on lawful permanent residency. So yes, USCIS can now and may refer your case to an immigration judge, and your wife would be put in removal hearings, right? She would be put in removal, but she is still a permanent resident, right? So the judge would have to make that decision as to whether or not, she's going to get her 10-year green card, and he's going to look at the facts again, right? I don't know why you guys failed your interview, especially if both of you went at the same time. Maybe there was something else. If she was, well, I'm not going to speculate, but it's rare to have a husband and wife or spouse and spouse go to the interview, 751 interview, and then fail that interview. So do they say they went to the interview? So listen, the question was, is she going to get deported?
Just as apparently we failed the interview.
It's tough to get deported, like under this scenario, right? You have a couple that's still together. You're going to appear before the judge like we're still together. It's basically, hey, the reason we're not approving your I-751 is because you did not, it's your burden to prove documentation to show that you are living together, you're sharing your finances, you're in a bona fide marriage and a bona fide relationship. So if you're both there and you're both testifying before the immigration judge, then, we've won this cases when the couple is divorced and there's just one, it's just the applicant, right? The person who's trying to get the 10-year card. So I would be surprised if, under this scenario, the immigration judge would order your wife removed from the United States. On another matter, your wife's case is going to take like 8 years, right? She's going to be here while you're going through this removal process, and it's extremely lengthy because of the court backlog. So unless they change something drastically, they hire a whole bunch more immigration judges to these cases. But these cases that we've done for an I-7, there's only been 2. So it took forever for my client's case to get through immigration court. Forever, not forever, like 8 years. So anyhow, hopefully that answers your question. I wouldn't be panicking right now like anyone's going to take your wife right now. Your wife is still a permanent resident, even though her 10-year card got denied. You're going to see an immigration judge. That's one thing that can be done. Depending on your local immigration office, we sometimes just refile an I-751 after the denial. So there are things that can be done to fix it. Don't just wait. Just talk to an immigration attorney, make an appointment with an immigration attorney. We are immigration attorneys. If you want to give us a call, it's 757-464-9224. Our office is located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, but we represent people all over the United States and all around the world.
There was a question over here that we missed about a birth certificate. Yeah. I think we went by that one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is from, I don't know how to pronounce that. Joe Cute. My husband wants to remove his name on baby birth certificate. Does that affect my citizenship? Has the 10-year card.
On the baby's birth certificate.
Yeah. So husband wants to remove the name on the baby. So when you're applying for U.S. citizenship, they do not ask for children's birth certificates. There's no question on the N-400 whether the father on your children's birth certificate is the real father. Like there's just not that question, So it's not something that will necessarily come up when you apply for U.S. citizenship. To me, this question goes to, is this a bona fide marriage and relationship? Was it a bona fide marriage and relationship? Why would a dad want to remove their name?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's just
agreed. It raises questions.
It raises questions, but I mean, for purposes of applying for U.S. citizenship, there's no specific question about birth certificate or any of these things. Now, if you have a spiteful, I don't know why he's doing that, but if you have a spiteful husband and maybe you guys are, things are rocky and shaky, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here, and he writes immigration, then that's going to be put in your immigration file. And so and I'm not saying you should not apply for citizenship because of this, but that's something that the immigration officer may ask questions about that. So it really depends on the circumstances and why, the why behind the why. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight on, the N-400. Take a look at the N-400 application. Mm-hmm. You can pull it up. It's the N-400. And you can look at all the questions there. None of it really relates to what you're talking about. And we don't provide birth certificates during the N-400 interview. I've never been asked for a birth certificate of a child. Hopefully that answers your question. All right.
Okay, we're about out of time here. We'll take maybe one last one here.
Oh my gosh, we are. Wow.
Yep.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So Enchanted Rose wants to know, when you go to the interview for your residency and you get denied, can you come back to the United States even when you had the I-601 approved?
When you go to the interview for your residency and you get denied, can you come back to the United States? Is that the question?
Yeah.
And it had something to do about a 601?
Yeah, the second part was even when you had the I-601 approved.
So there's another reason why it was denied, right? So whatever whatever the 601 was pertaining to, that was approved. So all good. But there was another reason. So to answer your question, can you get another visa, a non-immigrant visa? Can you get a tourist visa instead of the immigrant visa? Possibly. You possibly may be able to do that. It depends on why they denied the immigrant visa to begin with. Hopefully that answers your question.
Annabelle says, hello, attorney.
Hi.
Joe Max says, also make sure your license plate isn't covered or obscured. More good advice.
Yes, there's a lot.
All right. And he just goes on and on. Sorry, folks. You have a lot of questions, and unfortunately, we are out of time. But we will be here again next week. So
Sunday. We will be here on Sunday
night at 8:00. Get here early. Get your question in fast, and we'll get to it. All right.
Well, here's a question that's so easy to ask. I have an important question to answer. I get answer the questions. I have an important question. When you have a green card, can you travel internationally? Yes, you can travel internationally, but you have to double check whether you need a visa or not to get to that country. So you may need a visa, like, to get the visa before you travel. All right.
Okay. What about TPS for Venezuelans? Valentina, we post these, so go to our website and you can watch this again because we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
All right. It's been revoked for 2023 TPS for Venezuelans. That'll go into effect 60 days from February 5th. Okay. All right,
yeah,
folks.
and look at this one. This one is about one more question. Asking for a friend, is Utah same-sex marriage will be affected under the Trump administration, since my friend is planning to bring his partner with him as a dependent through EB3 visa app online marriage. So the same-sex marriage is not going to be affected by the Trump administration at this time. USCIS still recognizes same-sex marriage.
Yeah, and after the Supreme Court case that dealt with this years ago, I think that's going to be a tough one for him to crack, even if he wants to. So,
all right, guys,
I think he's probably good. Okay, folks,
been awesome.
Yeah, it has been.
2 thumbs up. See you on Sunday.
We'll see you
Thank
on
you
Sunday
so
at 8
much
o'clock,
for your amazing questions.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good
night.
night.
Bye, guys. All right. Okay, we're still on here.